OPEC was formed in 1960. The significant role cannot be understated. Saudi Arabia is the most powerful member, was one of the 5 founding members. The UAE joined 7 years later, and the group controls around a third of the supply. It's been used, and it's used its leverage. 1970s oil embargo, most famously. The Arab OPEC members cut production, banned exports to the US, Netherlands, Portugal, and South Africa because of their support for Israel. It caused the most enormous crisis. And ever since then, OPEC has always... Also, they all cheat. I mean, all the OPEC members are cheating on their various quotas to a certain extent, the slippage and leakage, as they call it. The departure of the UAE is likely to diminish the groups. John Defterios is my former colleague with decades of experience. He knows OPEC more than is honest or healthy as our emerging markets editor. Now, senior advisor with APCO, a communications and consultancy firm. John's in Lisbon. John, why would knowing that, you know, if they produce more, price goes down, but they're not happy with OPEC and with their quota, why would they do something so destructive to OPEC and in such a fashion like today?
I don't think they see it, Richard, as destructive. I spoke to one senior advisor to the UAE in the last 2 hours. He said, let's describe it as strategic autonomy, the ability to make its own decisions going forward. This has been in kind of the rumor mill for the last 3 or 4 years, and the UAE was actually considering making this decision beforehand. For those of us who like to read the smoke signals, and I just came back from the region this morning. I was in the UAE and Riyadh for the last week. I heard hints of a realignment by the UAE, and I would kind of lean in and suggest this may be the first of other decisions by the UAE going forward. I think the smoke signals were the fact that there was a GCC summit in Jeddah today. The president of the UAE did not attend. He sent the foreign minister / deputy prime minister to that meeting. So many read a lot into that this decision was happening on the day of the GCC summit. And I think, Richard, they feel handcuffed in this current situation. Right. As Suhail Mazrui was suggesting in his interview, they've made a lot of contributions, but a lot of sacrifice. And being capped at 3.4 million barrels a day. Just think about this number here. At 3.3 million barrels a day at $90 a barrel, they make a lot less than they would at 5 million barrels a day. In fact, it's a $50 billion difference between 3.3 and 5 million barrels a day. That's the bottom line.
Okay, 2 things though, John. Firstly, I agree. The UAE has spent a great deal of money on its infrastructure, and it's invested hugely and wants to get a return. But its cost of production is relatively low overall. Getting that money back, isn't this about getting market share at the cost of other OPEC members by doing this? But the risk, of course, is that if not a price collapse, you certainly have a downward pressure because of your pumping more.
Well, actually, I think this fits into a very interesting discussion about how long oil demand will stay high. Before this conflict that we saw in the Strait of Hormuz, demand was projected at 104 million barrels a day. I think this fits into the category of make hay while the sun is shining, Richard. The UAE sits on about 9% of proven reserves. They see demand holding up for at least till 2040, about 100 million barrels a day. But you see some projections that demand will drop to 80 million barrels a day by 2050. So they're saying, let's front load it right now, have the freedom to do so. And also, Richard, under the CEO, the group CEO of ADNOC, Dr. Sultan Al Jaber, taking instructions from the president of the UAE, they wanted to invest billions of dollars, not only in raw crude and having a trading division, but to go downstream into petrochemicals where there's higher margins. So they don't want to be constrained by OPEC or OPEC Plus for that matter.
Right, but ultimately, John, I mean, that's a very interesting point you raise about front loading. It's, as you say, make hay while the sun shines now. But the US becoming essentially the swing producer because it's so vast in its energy. And you are essentially going to end up with internecine warfare within the oil-producing countries of the Gulf. And everything that OPEC was originally designed to create is going to fall apart.
Well, you raise a very interesting point. There have been strains within OPEC ever since the shale revolution taking place. So you see the U.S. being the #1 producer in the world. Last month, it was producing 13.5 million barrels a day. That's above Russia. It's above Saudi Arabia, #2, #3 in the world. That has profoundly changed the dynamics within OPEC right now.
Right.
And I know that the UAE position has been, Richard, why are we sacrificing when the U.S. is getting more market share? You talked about the low-cost producer. Onshore, we're looking at about $2 a barrel in the UAE. It's a low-carbon producer as well in terms of carbon capture and being efficient in that way, and $4 offshore. So I think their view is, why don't we have that independence right now? I think we also, one other point here is they're not really happy at the pace the GCC is moving right now. They have a very different strategy, Richard, and that is, for example, on free trade. The UAE has signed 36 trade partnerships because the GCC hasn't moved fast enough. So I think both with the GCC and the Arab League, we should start thinking differently of how the UAE sees that relationship and sees its future. That's some of the discussions I've had over the last 7 days.
Great. John, good to see you, sir. Thank you very much. John Defterios with me, joining me tonight from Lisbon.